Hi, it's Cammy. Charlie talks football.
Very important next week for the future of Benjamin Sesko. Newcastle are going very big with this contract proposal ready for the player.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Charlie Talks Football. So more Newcastle United news. If you're new around here, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And anyway guys, let's get into the video now. There's been some more breaking news developments on Benjamin Sesko, the striker who Newcastle want as a priority to potentially replace Alexander Isak. So I'll get into the developments on that. But first of all, Bayern Munich are closing in on a deal for Luis Diaz, which, you might be wondering, how does that affect Newcastle? Because Liverpool have been waiting to sell Luis Diaz before they make a bid to Newcastle for Isak, which means I would expect Liverpool to bid for Isak next week. So next week is going to be big for what happens with Isak, whether he leaves Newcastle, whether he stays with Newcastle. I still firmly believe he will leave Newcastle. I'd rather that Newcastle sell an unhappy player than keep him for another year just for him to leave next season. So that's what I think is going to happen. Now, it's next week also is going to be big for the situation of Benjamin Sesko, the RB Leipzig striker. Now, I'll play the clip that Fabrizio Romano said about Sesko.
Next week will be important, very important next week for the future of Benjamin Sesko. Newcastle are going very big with this contract proposal ready for the player, and they are also ready to approach Red Bull Leipzig. So Newcastle are going very strong for Benjamin Sesko, and they are prepared to make important things happen for the Slovenian striker. So Newcastle will go big next week. Manchester United are still discussing Benjamin Sesko internally. It's an expensive deal, so it's not easy, but don't forget the gentleman agreement I told you. For some clubs indicated by Benjamin Sesko as special clubs for him, the price of the Sesko package can be 70, 80 million euros fixed, 5, 10 million euros in advance.
So Fabrizio, what he basically said there in the video you've just watched, Newcastle are prepared to go big for Benjamin Sesko. They're ready to present their project to the player. It will be an expensive deal, but Newcastle are prepared to push. So next week, you'll probably find out whether Newcastle will sign Benjamin Sesko or not. So it's going to be a big week for Newcastle on transfers, with Manchester United also interested in Benjamin Sesko. Now, in my opinion, I think Sesko, I know it's going to be difficult to replace Isak, but Sesko is one of them players who he's probably... Obviously, I don't think he's as good as Isak just yet, but he's got the potential to be just as good. He's more like a Haaland type of player, where he's not as skillful and he's not as good at, almost everything that Isak is, but he's almost like a poacher striker who get him into the box, he will end up scoring. So I think there is a lot of potential with Sesko. I know that Leipzig will want a lot of money, so it won't be a difficult deal for Newcastle to complete. But give us your thoughts on that. That really seems to be picking up momentum. Romano said that Sesko is Newcastle's priority and it will advance into next week, and next week will be big for Benjamin Sesko. Now, on the Wissa situation, that seems to be a complete mess. The player has told Brentford that he's never going to play for them ever again. He doesn't want to train. He wants to join Newcastle. He wants to be at a club who are in the Champions League because he feels like he might never get that opportunity. But Brentford are currently blocking the move because their manager, Keith Andrews, wants him to stay. Now, you've got to I feel quite sympathetic for Wissa, because of course this is a player who's been very loyal to Brentford. He's been, Brentford for a long, long time. So you can understand, a Champions League club like Newcastle comes in for him, and for Brentford to be demanding 50 million is just unacceptable. So I can understand why Wissa is furious with Brentford. Like I reported in my last video, the deal's not completely off, but Newcastle have started looking at alternative striker options. So this Wissa deal could still happen if Brentford are willing to lower their asking price. But on another, you can look at it in different ways. You can look at it from the fact that Brentford, they've lost the captain, Norgard, they've lost the best player in Buemo, they've lost the manager, Thomas Frag. So for Brentford, if they lost Wissa, I think they would be definitely in trouble and could potentially, be one of the teams lower down the league next season. I don't think they will get relegated, but you can understand why they're blocking the move. But from Wissa and Newcastle's point of view, and my point of view, it is very frustrating, the fee that Brentford are demanding for Wissa, because, he's only got a year left on his contract, so he could easily just run down his contract and join Newcastle next summer. So it would make sense for Brentford, I think, to sell Wissa now in Newcastle. So we'll see what happens with that deal. Like I mentioned in my last video, Jackson and Watkins, Romano confirmed, are on the potential targets, but Sesko is the main priority. So if we can't get Sesko, then we'll probably move on to Jackson or Watkins. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on the transfer window so far? For me, it's been a very underwhelming, disappointing transfer window. Hopefully Newcastle can make up for it by signing Sesko. The Isak situation, I still expect the player to leave. Liverpool are expected to bid very, very soon. So it's a very intriguing time to be a Newcastle fan. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like. Let's get 3,000 subscribers, and I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. And Newcastle currently losing, I think, 2-1 to Arsenal on the pre-season tour in Asia. Anthony Elanga scored, so what are your thoughts on that? But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.